Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely. Pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 206 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And before we get to this week's guest, Andy Biersack from Black Veil Brides, I want to remind you about the new Mistress Carrie gear that's on sale in the online shop at mistresscarrie.com. New pullover hoodies, 3/4 sleeve black on black jerseys, purple fleece roll-up Mistress Carrie blankets, and just in time for Father's Day, my dad says Mistress Carrie rocks baby onesies. Just log on to mistresscarrie.com and click shop. My guest this week, Andy Biersack from Black Veil Brides, is making his second appearance on the show. His first appearance was episode 60 on July 28th, 2021. I caught Andy while he was in Boston on the Black Veil Brides headlining tour to talk about their upcoming new EP, Bleeders, set for release on June 21st, and their partnership with the American Red Cross, encouraging Black Veil Brides fans to donate blood. We also talked about the upcoming Popular MonsTour II tour with Falling in Reverse. Tickets are on sale for that tour, which includes a stop in Boston on September 9th at the Leader Bank Pavilion. Andy and I talked about the recording process of the new EP and how he went about selecting the songs they were going to cover. We also talked about tattoos and his long friendship with Ronnie Radke, his wife Lilith Czar, U2, Spinal Tap, his love of Sweeney Todd, and his beloved Bengals and Reds. He's a singer and songwriter, actor, and lover of musical theater, and I absolutely love having Andy on the show, and I'm so glad that he came back. So allow me to reintroduce you to Andy Biersack from Black Veil Brides. Welcome back to Boston, Andy.
I'm here. It stopped raining, which is nice. It was raining all morning.
You should have been here yesterday. It was 80 degrees and sunny. It was one of those days that makes Bostonians not mad.
Well, that's nice. I have to say, all of New England, I prefer to be rainy and full of, smoke. It looked very Victorian in a way. Like that, it's part of the appeal. As someone who spent most of my life in Southern California and I now live in Florida, I don't get to see much other than sunshine. So it's nice to see the sort of what you might call sad weather is sometimes fun.
Yeah, well, Boston and New England, this region of the country, there's a lot of old things, a lot of very spooky things. It's right up your alley.
I remember years ago, we did the Boston Film Festival when American Satan came out. And Ben Bruce of Asking Alexandria and I were standing on a rooftop at the hotel that we're staying at. And it occurred to him that he's from England. It occurred to him that he sort of was looking out over the city and it was raining and dark or whatever. And he said that it occurred to him why it's called New England as a person who's from England. He goes, this looks exactly like home. And he was sort of blown away by the fact that this is so much like Old England. So then I started calling England Old England in his presence.
We kind of call it that too.
Sure. All right. Fair. All right.
Plus we have Salem. And Halloween it's part of the reason why I love living here too. It's home for me, but the whole old kind of dark, spooky aesthetic. I know you love it. So do I.
I do love it. I don't get much of it in Florida, but And
we're also huge rock fans here too, which is why coming up here, you have such rabid fans with Black Veil Brides.
We're really excited for tonight's show. Boston's always been a great market for us. Whether it's here or in the surrounding areas of the shows we've done in Worcester over the years, and just it's a great time.
Well, you're coming back in the fall because you just announced the Popular MonsTour II with Falling in Reverse. You guys are going to be at the Leaderbank Pavilion on September 9th.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that and the whole tour. It's as I've said before. I've known Ronnie since I was 17 years old when I first met him, and we the first time we toured together, I think I was like 22 or 23. And I've sung on his songs over the years and been in music videos, and we've known each other for a long time. And this is obviously at this point, Falling in Reverse is as big as you could ever imagine, and he's had so much success. So it's just so exciting to be able to join that tour.
He's doing those blackout tattoos where he's covering up a lot of his old tattoos. You're a heavily tattooed guy. I have tattoos as well that all have different meanings. Can you imagine covering all of yours up?
Well, I think it's an aesthetic thing, right? You get to a place where, and I don't know, I've never spoken to him about why he has this, but or why he did that. But I think a lot of times, and the people that I know who have done the blackouts, it's when your tattoos no longer feel emblematic of you as a person, then you've got all these things on you that maybe come from times that don't represent you or don't feel like who you are now. And so because I've gotten stuff covered up before, I've gotten tattooed over tattoos, but by and large, I'm the type of person that I look at my bad tattoos or my dumb tattoos as a memory of a silly time or a reminder to not be an idiot, sort of thing.
Scars are good for that too. Reminders to not be an idiot.
Yeah, I got plenty of those too. So between the bad tattoos and the scars, I got plenty of reminders.
Speaking of the spooky aesthetic, you've got this EP Bleeders coming out, and you've chosen very specific songs, and obviously the video for the title track, very emblematic of Sweeney Todd. So tell me about the inspiration behind the EP and how you went about selecting the songs you were going to put on it.
Well, so, the reality for me with Sweeney Todd is, speaking of tattoos, I have 2 Sweeney Todd tattoos. It's always been a big part of my life. It was one of my first loves outside of rock music was the show. My parents had the original cast recording on a 2 CD set. It was about as thick as like a stack of sandwiches when I was a kid. And so I'd go through the booklet and everything. It's always been a big part of my life. So it was always a dream to figure out a way to involve it in our music. And, we have been working on this song with Eric Ron, and it just felt like the perfect time because the theme of the song tonally to start was this whole idea of what is revenge? What does it feel like to get revenge? Is there really any sort of comeuppance that exists? Do you really feel better when you are able to defeat a demon or a person in your life or what have you? And the realization that I think to some degree all of us are just trying our best to get from one day to the next, and how revenge can be good, but being in totality being the best version of yourself is maybe more important on a consistent basis. And so that was kind of the gestation of the song. And then it went into full Sweeney Todd mode from there. And then I started working on a treatment for a music video, and then we met up with Jensen Owen and his team, and he took that treatment and made it a million billion times better, and ultimately ended up with the video that you see. And we covered My Friends from the show, and so it's a whole Sweeney Todd, Black Veil Bride Sweeney Todd era that was maybe unexpected, that has been so much fun.
You talk about revenge, growing up in a Sicilian family where we hold grudges literally to the grave.
Sure.
The concept of revenge and holding that grudge is like a cultural thing. Like we fall asleep dreaming of revenge.
Sure. Well, my wife and I both have the word revenge tattooed on ourselves. Mine's on my shoulder. I always think of it as the monkey on my back. And it's been a big deal since I was a kid. And same for her. Neither of us have ever really felt like we were the chosen ones. We were always kind of picked last. And the idea of taking your life and making it about showing people that they were wrong, it can be really motivating and exhausting, but is something that try as I might, I've never been able to shake that feeling.
You talk about your wife, Lilith Czar. Her and I have decided we're sisters from another mister. After you came on the show the first time, which, by the way, was episode 60 back in July of 2021 when the world was crazy.
Very different time.
I interviewed her talking about her music, and she was holed up in your childhood bedroom at your parents' house waiting for you to come home for the holidays.
Yeah. No, and it's actually funny. Right before I got on the call with you, she texted me to make sure I let you know how much she loves you and is in can't wait to talk to you again. Sir.
Oh, good. I can't wait to hear the new music she's working on, because her and I literally were finishing each other's sentences, and I was like, okay, wow, this is really weird.
Yeah, well, it's interesting for me because speaking of that, one of the things that I feel really fortunate about, and I think about all the time, and we actually laugh about, is we feel like we're such similar people, and it's really funny because our joke is always we're the same person, because we're the type of people that if something ridiculous is happening, we both we take the exact same thing from the scenario, and we sort of have the same take on stuff, and we find the same stuff funny, we find the same stuff enraging. Our conversations are a lot of there's a deep cut, but I think it's the 4th season of Arrested Development, there's a gag between Ben Stiller's character and Will Arnett's character where they just keep repeating the word same to each other in each other's faces. And that's me and Lilith, is we're just same all the time.
I quoted the things you said about her on my show to her when I was talking to her. And I asked her to comment on it. And she just said, well, that just tells me that I married the right person.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really sweet.
That's very sweet.
Even behind each other's
backs,
you guys say nice things.
Well, that's very true. That is very true. We're not shit talkers on each other at all.
It has nothing to do with the microphones and the recording whatsoever.
No, but that's also true in life. I think, we always say that too. And I'm not saying that I know a lot of people like this, but I certainly know people who they take their frustrations of their partner out around them on other people. And I think sometimes that can paint the way that other people view friends of theirs. And, we've certainly not always been perfect. When we got together really young and we didn't know a lot about even who we were, but we make a real concerted effort to make sure that, we are never those types of people, so to speak.
My husband and I have a similar kind of relationship. And you guys and Lilith played the big gig up here in Massachusetts. And so I made sure to grab you two and my husband and I so we could take the photo of the two weird couples together.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect.
I got to talk to you about the U2 cover as well, because obviously when you're releasing an EP called Bleeders, you do the Sweeney Todd cover, and then you decide we're going to cover U2's Sunday Bloody Sunday. Now, covering a song from Sweeney Todd the musical is one thing. Covering an iconic song from arguably one of the greatest rock bands ever, did you feel pressure to not screw it up, or did you just go into it going, we're going to kind of make this song our own, and you didn't really worry about not doing it justice?
Well, truth be told, it really wasn't part of the EP. We recorded the song when we did the Temple of Love cover about a year and a half ago, and that we had spent like 3 or 4 days with Eric, our producer, just working on covers. We never finished it, but we did like a cover of the Alkaline Trio song called Radio. We did Temple of Love, and then we did this one. And it really was, the conversation was surrounding what are songs that, at least for me, had childhood impact in a way that was specific and tangible. So for me, Temple of Love was a song that introduced me to goth music and was formative for me, because hearing Andrew Eldridge's voice where he was singing in a baritone voice, I was like, oh, you can sing in a deep voice and it can still be cool. And similarly, the U2 song was one where when I was about 8 or 9, I went on a trip with my aunt and my mom to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. And they were doing an exhibit surrounding an anniversary of the Rattle and Hum live concert. And they had a big installation where they were playing different songs. And the one that I happened to walk by was they were performing Sunday Bloody Sunday. And without any knowledge of the political significance or what the song is about, I just watched them perform this song. And at the time, my only real experience with live performance was, the shows that I'd been to at that age, which was like Kiss, Aerosmith, AC/DC, big rock shows, stuff blowing up, costumes, all the stuff. And it was interesting and really cool for me at that age to see somebody performing in like a leather jacket and jeans and no explosions, no whatever. And obviously U2 went on to have Zootopia and the Sphere and all these major shows. But at the time in their career, it was just bare bones, and it was all about the passion of the song. And so it occurred to me, I probably couldn't have put it into words at that age, but it occurred to me at that age that you didn't necessarily need to have things exploding around you to give a good show and to show the passion of the show. So we covered it under the pretense that I wanted to pay homage to a very important and classic song. But the hard part about it is, and this is the part that you have to kind of contend with in today's culture, especially because people have more information now than they used to. And when I first learned that song as a kid, I didn't know about the troubles in Ireland. I didn't know the historical significance of what was going on politically and socially in Ireland in the 70s and beyond. And so you have to be able to be consciously aware of that. And the thing I would say is, while I am certainly respectful of what the meaning of the song is, the spirit in which we're covering it is one of honoring the rock significance of the song while not discrediting the historical significance. But it's, far be it for me to try to assimilate or act as if I know what Bono was feeling when he wrote that song. However, I can say what I was feeling when I heard the song for the first time.
It comes up a lot on the show, especially over, say, the last couple of years. There are so many rock and metal artists that are talking about things like mental health and suicide and raising awareness and really lending their voices to philanthropic endeavors. And I never in a million years thought it would be the metalheads and the rock people that were the ones putting a lot of these serious things on the forefront. So when you decided to release this Bleeders EP, again, another band, another example of leading this philanthropic endeavor with the American Red Cross. And working in rock radio all these years, we have always hosted blood drives and worked with the Red Cross. So talk to me about how that partnership with you guys started.
Well, I think, for the entire history of the band, there's always been an element of, to some degree, altruism baked into what we're doing, whether that's, working with various, speaking specifically to mental health, working with various organizations or whatever else. But with this, it came down to kind of a chance thing where, our manager had gone to see, he's a LA native, and he had gone to see Wasp in the mid 80s at the Whiskey. And Wasp had a give blood and get a free ticket thing that was associated with the show. And that stuck with him as a teenager. And he had always thought, wouldn't it be cool to do something like that? And so when we were coming up with all the Bleeder stuff, he had brought that show up at some point to me, and we started talking about it. We're like, well, what if we take it beyond that and have it be something that is nationwide, and not only, have it be part of the tour, but have it be something where we partner with the Red Cross and get cool merchandise opportunities for people to do it and really try to encourage people to donate. And we didn't know whether the Red Cross would be receptive to it. And thankfully they absolutely were, and have been great partners. And I don't even know the statistic right now, but it's a ridiculous amount of blood that's been donated already so far. And we're only a week and a half, 2 weeks into the tour. So I do know that they come with signed posters when you can show your proof and all this other merchandise. And we're completely, as of like 3 shows ago, we were completely out of all the merchandise, and I had signed more posters, I believe, than I've ever signed in my life. So we're getting restocked on all that. So please continue to donate, but it's definitely been successful in that way.
It says a lot about the Black Veil Brides fans that they're literally willing to give you bodily fluids.
Well, I think that there's a huge connection between what our music is and people that feel a need to connect with others and do something positive for other people. And I think that is playing out here in a very real way.
And everybody looks at us as being the weird ones that aren't these giving, stable, active members of society, because they see the hair and the tattoos and they hear the music. When, again, like I said before, the rock and metal fans are leading the charge on so many amazing efforts philanthropically.
Well, I think when you're when you've always felt like maybe you're a little bit different than the rest of society, your ability to be in touch with yourself is a little bit more heightened. You know, the average person that listens to whatever the top 40 song on the radio, nothing against them, but they maybe aren't spending as much time alone because socially they're more acceptable. And I think the kids that listen to weird music and dress weird ways and all of that tend to be, by virtue of the fact that, you know, they're not listening or acting composite of others, they tend to spend more time being more isolated, which leads to a little bit more introspection, which I think then allows you to understand to a greater degree the plight of other people.
The EP comes out on June 21st. There seems to be a trend in music where artists are starting to deviate away from releasing full-length albums and releasing song by song or EPs. Can you talk to me about your feelings on releasing EPs or singles versus a whole body of work?
Well, I think it's a case-by-case thing. You know, for this, ultimately, we will have a full-length record. The way in which that gets released, I don't know if it's going to be the same traditional way. It might be. I think it really depends on what you're trying to do. For me, if we're doing a record that all has one concept, like the Phantom Tomorrow was, it really behooves you to release it as an album because the listening experience is meant to be that way. But if you were doing isolated storytelling, there's no reason why not to put all of your eggs into the basket of a single song, 2 songs, whatever, and then take some time, recharge, do it again, so that you end up getting more for every single song instead of getting, well, I've been working on this record for 2 years and who cares? Track 7 is good enough. You know, like that's where you end up a lot of times with records. So I think that you're seeing the bar get raised because of how much more output people have.
You talk about being influenced by Sweeney Todd, and obviously you've branched out and done television and movies. Has there ever been anyone that approached you about doing Broadway or doing something theatrical? Because you seem like the kind of person that could handle that kind of expression, because it takes a certain kind of creative that can handle that kind of schedule.
I've literally never wanted anything more in my life than to play Sweeney Todd in anything. So as it turns out, I just got to a place where I got to be successful enough that I could force the issue. And, no, but I've said for years, people that listen to my podcast know I've petitioned, like, if you have a local production of Sweeney Todd in any city in America and you cast me, I will come do it. So, you know, that offer still stands. Just I will come do your show.
There are High School Musical kids all over the place listening to this right now going, could we do this? Would he show up and do it?
Mount a production and a 33-year-old man will show up and play.
But I would love to see that. I think you would be so perfectly cast. Obviously, you can handle the vocals.
I mean, I know all the songs. It won't take a lot of rehearsal for me.
And it's not often that in the same person, you have someone that is such a lover of musical theater, that is such an unabashed football fan as well. Last time you were on the show, obviously you're in Patriots Nation right now. The draft just ended. How are you feeling about your Bengals this year?
I feel good. You know, I think a lot of it comes down to keeping Burrow healthy. You know, we were weak in the secondary last year. We did a lot to try to help with that. We now have 75 feet and 5,000 pounds of linemen in front of Burrow between all the guys that we drafted and brought in. So it feels good. I'm also thrilled to see what you guys are experiencing, which is what the rest of us get to experience for the rest of time, which is an unknowingness as to whether the Patriots will be good or not or bad. That's what the rest of us all got to experience for the last 30 years, while you guys just knew it was all going to work out.
But you need to understand that the era before the Krafts and Belichick and Brady, that was our life. My upbringing, I watched William the Refrigerator Perry sing the Super Bowl Shuffle and Crush Our Dreams.
I know.
I'm not. Rogan era
however,
was painful.
I believe an unprecedented 28-year dynasty is enough for you to have a couple years off.
And it wasn't just, it wasn't just the Patriots either. I mean, right now you're sitting in the shadow of Fenway Park and the World Series and the Bruins in the Cup and the NBA with the Celtics success. Trust me, I am very well aware that all of the pain I felt as a child, as a sports fan, that was all washed away by those decades. And I'm now watching kids not understand why we just don't gas up the duck boats every year around here.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy the level of sports success this town has had. I don't know if there's anything like it. So, at the very least, even if one arm of your professional franchises isn't holding up its end of the bargain, you know that one of the other ones will. So it's all going to, for me, the Reds haven't won a postseason series in 30 years. And the Bengals had not won a single playoff game until I was about to turn 31 years old. And then they went to the Super Bowl. So I dealt with nothing but pain of our two professional franchises. And so now the fact that we are moderate to good is just so exciting.
We share a love of one player specifically that has a very close personal tie to the show in Bronson Arroyo.
Oh, yes. Bronson Arroyo, the most interesting windup of all time in terms of as a pitcher. If you don't know, everyone go Google Bronson Arroyo pitching and see the leg kick. It was the most rock and roll move before pitching a ball.
And a musician.
Of course, well, he had to incorporate it. It was like he was playing guitar on his leg.
After he was part of the 2004 World Series team, they called and said, hey, Bronson's getting ready to release an album. And I tell you this story because this is how psychotic Boston sports fans are. Could he come up on your show and play acoustic? And I was like, he's Bronson Arroyo, of course. He can come up and do whatever he wants. But I said, he can come up and play acoustic if he gives me a pitching lesson. So he came up in the studio with his guitar and sang some songs, and we had set up a broadcast area in the loading dock of the building. And we went outside. The Red Sox sent a bunch of catcher's gear for me, and I put a wireless microphone in the cage, and so he's teaching me like how to throw his different pitches and whatever. And I'm like, okay, look, I caught Lassie League softball for 9 years. I can handle a major league pitcher. And so I asked him to throw some fastballs at me so I could learn. I know you're already shaking your head because you know how this ends. I asked him, I want to know what it's like to catch a major league fastball. After I said I want to hit off a major league pitcher, so I made him throw wiffle balls at me so I could hit it. And he threw 3 fastballs that weren't even in his own words, not even as fast as somebody like Pedro or whatever. And he broke this knuckle of my thumb.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that he broke it till the next day. It just really hurt. But I was like, oh, whatever. I'm going to shake it off. He's a World Series champion pitcher. The next day I woke up, my thumb was black, broke the knuckle. But this is why I told you the story. Boston sports fans are so psychotic that I was like, this is the greatest broken bone that has ever been broken. Yeah. I am going to brag about this broken thumb for the rest of my life. And
well, here we are 20 years later. We're talking about it right now. So
exactly. He did send me flowers when he got word that he broke the thumb. But I know he is just as beloved in Cincinnati as he is here in Boston.
Oh, big time. Yeah. I mean, I think on a pretty consistent basis, he goes and plays guitar at the Great American Ballpark during the games. So he's a beloved figure.
See, so there is common ground between us psychotic sports fans. There are people we can both love.
Absolutely. And let's hope tonight's show will show that we also both love Black Veil Brides, me and the Boston fans.
Come on, Andy, you know you are beloved, not only tonight at the House of Blues, but obviously again in September, you're going to be out on the harbor at the Leader Bank Pavilion.
Very exciting. Cannot wait. Can't wait for the tour. And, maybe I'll have my own Major League Baseball player like break my hand by then and we can commiserate over it.
Listen, I'm a DJ. I could break my hand and still fully function. You are a musician. Your record company and management right now is listening to this going, stop encouraging him to break appendages. Just please.
Hey, look, I can still sing with a broken hand. That's all right. I've sang with broken ribs. I can make it happen.
Speaking of that, I got to ask you one more question because I know you got to go. They're making the new Spinal Tap. Did you break those ribs on stage? Tell me your Spinal Tap moment.
I jumped off of a marble pillar that was about 30 feet up in the air onto a marble pillar that was 15 feet below that in an attempt to make an impressive stage dive. And It was not so impressive. There's a lot of video of it on the internet, and you can see me very embarrassingly sort of ragdoll down to the ground and smash all my ribs in. I finished the show, though.
It sounds like just as good of an idea as asking to catch Major League fastballs from a World Series champion pitcher. Not smart.
Yeah, maybe we both made some questionable decisions.
Scars are memories of stupidity. We already established it, so there you go.
Exactly.
It was so good to see you again. I cannot wait to hear the EP. Comes out June 21st. You'll be back in Boston on September 9th. And please tell your lovely wife that her sister from another mistress says hello as well.
Will do. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
There he is, Andy Biersack from Black Veil Brides. The new Bleeders EP comes out on June 21st. And you can catch Black Veil Brides on the Popular MonsTour II tour with Falling in Reverse. Tickets are on sale now for the show on September 9th at the Leader Bank Pavilion in Boston. Check the links in the show notes of this episode to get them. While you're there, you can also click the link for this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast that features all of my guest music and all the songs and artists that we talked about in the interview. You'll also find the link to Andy's first appearance on the podcast, episode 60. And of course, all of his links, Black Veil Brides links, and the Mistress Carrie links too. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday. Plus, every weekday, you get the Sit Rep. The Situation Report gives you all of your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in about 5 minutes. And you never know when we're going to release a bonus episode. Join me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern for my weekly video show, Cocktails in the War Room, which streams on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And you can always find me on the radio. Get the details on all that and more at MistressCarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.